I want to take a few minutes to go over the changes I've made to our class in terms of both the assignments and the course schedule. These materials are, of course, available on D2L under content, but I also want to just talk with you about them, hoping to clarify any questions you might have. If you have any subsequent questions, please just, ask. All right, so here we're looking at the amended assignments, and this is as of, well, really as we're coming back from spring break. So the first assignment is participation, and I put a note here. After each assignment, you'll see that I put a note like right here, right I don't know if you can quite tell. It's actually a dark blue, and there's the asterisks there. It's a different font. And letting you know, for instance, that in this case, the discussion board participation really isn't changing a whole lot, except that the deadlines are probably going to be longer, and I may end up actually having a fewer than I had planned. So that might be a change you end up seeing. Otherwise, it's going to stay pretty much the same. In terms of the behavior study, we were just jumping into this, and my concern has been that part of this project was about designing a survey that you did once. That was the TPB Survey 1 and then TPB Survey 2 because you revised it, right? And that part we're going to stick with. But after that, one of the things you were doing was distributing that survey and collecting the data on 30 to 40 people, which electronically is actually still very doable. After that, you had to do data analysis, and that required using Excel, and it was a little bit tech heavy. Yeah, I mean, I figured it would take you a good day or so to sort of work through doing all that. I had lots of instructional videos on doing it. I've done this in an online class before. But given that it requires you having Excel and the number of videos to watch, I just thought that, you know what, let's trim it back some. So the difference I've made, if you'll see right up here at the top there, where it used to be that you were looking at individuals, plural, you're looking at one individual. And that is just because you'll still be having to show you understand the theory and how to design the survey. But you're talking about the responses of one person, and I'll tell you what all that means because we haven't gotten too far into it perhaps. I'll tell you what that means when we get there. But that's just saying that I decided to really sort of simplify that assignment. And that's why I provide this explanatory note here, that says that this is the same except that you will now survey a single individual. The initial plan called for more intense data collection analysis than you may have the resources or energy to do right now. It could be a little stressful, and I just don't think I need to have you do that on top of everything else that we all are dealing with right now. So as I say here, I might be overreacting by reducing this, but it just felt like the right thing to do, just to make the class and the semester a bit more manageable while maintaining the same sense of learning outcomes and educational integrity. The exams sort of scrolls into 2 pages there. So it's still worth 30% of the grade. That weight didn't change. I'm still going to take your best 3 out of 4, but now the third exam is due much later. It'll open at the same time as it would have otherwise, but it's due until much later in the semester. This is just part of that repacing of the course I'm doing. So if it's going to take you 2 or 3 weeks to sort of get yourself and part of your life together, that's okay. In terms of this exam, you still have more time to do that. The influence notebook. Now, the influence notebook, I had already extended it to the 20th of March. I am reopening the Dropbox on it. Actually, I've already done it. Reopen that Dropbox. If during spring break when you were doing this, when sort of all the COVID-19 stuff, sort of hit the fan, you just couldn't concentrate, or you got it done, but it was like a mess and you're just trying to move on with things. If you want to leave that version you turned in, it was just a mess, you're like, whatever, I'm moving past it, it's fine. If you said, no, I really sort of solid job, I knocked it out, I want to keep that, that's fine. But if you want to go back and redo it, or if you just couldn't get to it because other things in life seemed too urgent, or there were issues with having to move, or access issues of different types, then you can turn that in later. All right, so that's just part of my extending your opportunity to get these things done. Your commercial analysis was the last paper, 10%. I don't see any changes with it. It was already due at the end of the semester, and that will pretty much remain the same. So that's what the assignments look like. Let's look at the calendar for just a moment. So here we are, in gray is all the stuff you've done already, so that's pretty good. So now as we're looking at what was what is module 7 beginning this week, if we're coming back from spring break, the week of 3/23, March 23rd. You still have those same chapters and things to read. You'll notice that exam 3, it's still opening there on the 30th of March, but it's now due by the first Monday of May, which is the beginning of finals week. So you have a while to take exam 3. If you need an extra couple, 2-3 weeks to sort of get caught up with lectures and whatnot, or focusing on other assignments that are due in my class or in this persuasion class before you take that exam, go ahead and do that. Right? I'm just trying to be a bit more lenient here. And then the influence notebook that originally was due on the 20th, I've now pushed it to the Friday. Dates are mostly they were things were due on Thursday. You might have noticed they're now due on Fridays, and it's now due on, I'm pretty sure it's a Friday. Friday, April 3rd is when the influence notebook is due. So it's due the same week as exam 3, but that's when exam 3 opens, not when exam 3 is due. So I'm pushing that later. The following week, this is an extension of the original plan. The week of 4/6 is when the TPB survey 1 is due, and a week later is when your revised version of the survey is due. My plan is to mark those up and return them to you over the weekend, and hopefully you can get it done during the week. Maybe we'll have. I just need you to have them done in time to be able to actually do some data collection. Anyway, we'll talk about these dates in a second. Anyway, so that is TPP Survey 2 is on 4/17. That's everything being pushed back. I forget the actual dates, but I think a couple weeks. There's then where that Module 8 is. That's a week where I'll be talking with you about the things that you need to know to do the commercial analysis. So I'm doing that during Module 8. Then in Module 9, I'm talking about some other things related to ethics, propaganda, fallacies, really a lot of ethical questions. That's why you were actually returning to the influence book. Chelsea's influence, you're asked to read the epilogue that week. Just note that it does say influence epilogue. And it's that Friday, May 1st, May Day, is when your behavior report is due. This is a considerable extension from what it was before. I'm just giving you more time for that. The reason that the TPB Survey 2 has to be turned in by the 17th, you can turn it in earlier, but the reason it has to be due by the 17th is because that way you have time then to finish the actual project behavior report, which requires you having done TPB Survey 2 and having made further changes that I recommend. So that's what that's all about. And the commercial analysis, I think, is due about the same. Might actually be due a date earlier now. That's just because of the onslaught of grading that I'll be dealing with, having pushed these things a bit later. But that's where we are. If there is an issue with something that you have in terms of your ability to complete an assignment, access materials, work within the time frame, you need to reach out to me. You have to do it in a timely manner. You can't wait until 3 weeks after the date of something and say, oh yeah, I meant to tell you I had this little crisis. You got to be much more on top of it than that. But if something going on, do please let me know and we'll find a way to resolve it. I can't be open to any and all sort of reasons. We might call them excuses, but reasons. But some can be really legitimate. So I've made the schedule hopefully more flexible and a little bit more manageable for you, and admittedly also for me, while at the same time making sure you're getting out of this class the things that I believe you need to get out of it in taking a 3000 level communication studies course on persuasion. Thank you, everybody. Good luck. Finish strong. I believe in you, and I'm here to help you. Okay, good luck.